Hey, it's Jordan with Status Coup, joined now by Ben Douglas. He was a UPS worker that was unfortunately and wrongfully fired for union organizing and basically retaliation last year for the crime of speaking out against UPS mistreatment of workers. So obviously, UPS workers, overwhelmingly the Teamsters, I think it was 97%. Recent vote to go on strike. So now UPS has, I think, till August 1st to make a real proposal that could avoid a strike. If there's a strike, you're talking 320,000 workers could be on strike, which would be definitely the biggest strike in a long, long time, decades. I know you were fired, but you're still obviously part of Teamsters and very much in the know of what's going on. What's kind of the mood on the ground? 97% is kind of a slam dunk. So obviously workers are kind of ready to rumble.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. I think that the mood is one of militancy. I think that the last contract in 2018, workers actually, the majority of UPS Teamsters rejected the proposed contract, and it was bureaucratically imposed by the old union leadership under James Hoffa Jr. So I think that there's a lot of resentment going back to that contract, but even further back. And the last contract is when the two-tier system started for drivers, which as a 22-4 tier 2 driver myself for about 2 years, I can say is pretty bad. You know, you're basically doing the same exact job as a regular package car driver, but for less pay and with no overtime protection. So that's all to say. I think that the mood is one of excitement and militancy. And I think that, you know, UPS has been making record profits throughout the pandemic, as we know, and it's time for workers to get their fair share and fight for what's theirs. We make all the wealth. It's time for us to win a better contract in a living wage.
Can you talk about, obviously it's a little bit different, but we know the railroad workers would have gone on strike at the end of last year. Really ridiculous, you know, outdated law allowed Congress to shut that down. I blame the president shutting down that strike. But you heard a lot of kind of the media framing it of not so much the plight of the workers, but how it would screw the economy. We're hearing similar reports, not focused on your bad wages, conditions, et cetera. But if UPS workers go on strike, this could really affect the economy. What do you think of that framing? Because most of the news headlines I've seen have talked about, you know, obviously mail would slow down, packages would slow down. It would affect, you know, companies that rely on mail. It seems that more of the focus is on how it would affect the economy rather than the workers.
Yeah, well, I think absolutely it would affect the economy. And I think that that's part of the strategic power that the working class has, that unionized workers have in our ability to disrupt or shut down the economy in large parts. I don't think that any of the 340,000 Teamsters, I don't think anyone wants to disrupt, you know, package delivery to the individuals who are ordering online. You know, I think we see customers as our allies, as our, you know, the people that we serve as our job. So I think that there's a lot of solidarity between the general public that gets serviced by UPS and by the workforce and the Teamsters. But absolutely, I mean, it would impact the economy. 6% of GDP, 6%. Roughly is moved by UPS. And, you know, I think that every progressive social movement, whether it's civil rights or the labor struggles in the 30s or, yeah, even the 1997 strike at UPS, all of those did disrupt things. And I think that that's part of wielding power and fighting for justice, fighting for living wage, fighting for equality, fighting against oppression. It has to be we have to be able to disrupt. Otherwise, these companies are going to continue walking over working people and just grind us into the ground.
And by the way, I mean, UPS recorded record profits last year. It reached $100 billion in revenue. So like Amazon, like the rest of them, they're not exactly, scratching together quarters. They're making record dough. I mean, we know the Republicans, and we also know the Democrats kind of give, virtue signals that they support labor, but there's only a handful that actually show up on the picket lines. Do you expect any support if there's a UPS strike from the Democratic Party? Real support, not, tweeting to support you while taking money from the union busters.
No, I mean, I think Joe Biden showed his true hand when he broke or averted a potential rail strike. And, the rail workers were fighting for the most basic standards, paid sick days so that they could go to the doctor, so that they, could keep their job and take care of their bodies. And even that was too much for the railroad companies. And Joe Biden, as well as Congress, and including even progressive Congress people like, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Jamal Bowman and, progressive Democrats in the squad, many of them supported either openly or more underhandedly stopping the strike. And if we go back to history, I think that we will find that only working people organizing in their own name and being able and willing to take strike action gets results. So no, I do not believe that we'll get any real support from politicians. I think we will get support from other sectors of the working class who see that this is their fight as well. That if Teamsters lose, organizing Amazon will be infinitely harder. If Teamsters lose, organizing FedEx will be more difficult. And if we win, we can win for everyone.
And I found it particularly really said something about the state of worker exploitation. A couple of weeks ago, I see the headline, yay, Teamsters just negotiated air conditioning in the trucks. I mean, credit to the Teamsters for doing that. But what does it say about the wealthiest country on earth? Supposedly, anybody can make it in America, we've been told, that you even have to be working for air conditioning in UPS trucks.
Yeah, the air conditioning thing is really one of the biggest slaps in the face to the UPS workforce that's been going on, I believe, since the company started or since the invention of air conditioning and their choice not to install it. Modern day package cars or the trucks, the delivery trucks, automatically are equipped with air conditioning. UPS intentionally has them removed because they believe that the workforce will not be as productive if we have air conditioning. And perhaps they're worried about higher gas costs. And this has led to numerous workers, not just last year, but practically every single year, numerous workers dying and countless thousands getting sick every single year, getting heat stroke, collapsing. We saw the video of the package car driver in Arizona collapsing by the doorbell. And of course, last year, Esteban Chavez Jr. Died in the package car in sweltering heat. So I think that it's a criminal neglect. It's malice on the part of UPS to intentionally have air conditioning removed from the package cars, despite the health risks to the workforce. And I think it's a testament to the anger that exists and the determination and the strength of the Teamsters that the UPS seems to be conceding on this. It's a very important demand. It's not a total solution for everything, but it's a very important victory, assuming that we get it.
And by the way, that's kind of like a slave master mentality, we'll get more out of them if they're just dying in the yard, dying in the farm. I mean, it's absolutely insane and immoral, in my view. I wanted to ask you, for the non-political junkies, just people that don't pay attention to this stuff, a lot of people think like a post office job is one of the better jobs you can get, a government job. You get great benefits, you're out on the go. Can you kind of give, for people that aren't aware of what the UPS workers, day, week, hours, conditions are, to someone who's learning about this the first time, what should they know that kind of breaks that stereotype?
Well, one of the first things is that there's a lot of misinformation that I think is peddled by the company and by the mainstream media that paints a picture of UPS workers as a very well-paid, sort of privileged sector. And they've said, oh, UPS workers make $93,000 a year. That's just a straight up lie. When I started as a 22.4 package car driver, I was making $20.50 an hour. After 1 year, I was making $21.25 an hour. And that would go up incrementally until you eventually reach top pay. The inside workers, who are approximately 60% of the UPS workforce, the kind of the sleeping giant of UPS, they start at incredibly low wages, about $15.50 an hour. So this idea that UPS workers are privileged and making tons of dough is not in alignment with the reality of it. And in terms of working hours, those workers who do make quite good money is oftentimes a result of absurd, degrading, forced overtime. There are drivers that are mandated to work 6 days a week, month in, month out, 12-hour days. And, it doesn't matter how much money, you're making in overtime. If you're not able to see your family, if you're not able to do anything else but work, yes, it is very much like you have a master over you. And I think that is the case. I think UPS acts like a corporate master. And we're the peons, we're the workers that they think that they can just abuse and exploit. And we've had enough of it.
In the broader picture, obviously, you had Striketober a year or two ago. Amazon workers won their first union last year, and then Amazon has been, fighting to the deaths, not even to come to the bargaining table. Starbucks workers have had historic gains, but Starbucks has responded by, just illegal union busting. That seems we don't have any criminal penalties in America for this, just fines. Can you talk about, in the broader picture, I hope there is no strike and you guys get a great contract to avert it. But if there is a strike, what would that mean for the working class, who right now is very dejected with electoral politics and a possible rematch of Joe Biden versus Donald Trump, which makes most sane people's eyes glaze over? For people that are kind of hopeless about electoral politics, why would it be so important? Again, you're talking hundreds of thousands of people possibly on strike. What would be the significance of a UPS strike?
Well, I think that it could be an incredibly inspiring example of working people standing up and fighting against the billionaires that run America. I think that for decades, the labor movement, at least the organized labor movement, has been on decline. And this would be one of the first chances of a very large and powerful sector of workers shutting down a major private sector company and winning. I believe that we will win. I think that if Amazon, if FedEx, if other non-union companies are to be organized, there needs to be some strong precedent set by the labor movement and by the Teamsters to show workers in the non-union sector that a strong union can actually change the lives of the workforce and improve things for the better. So I will say that I hope that there actually is a strike, because I think that it's needed. I think that the working class needs to strike for itself and on behalf of all the oppressed people. And I think that there's no better way, there's no better time than now. Joe Biden and, Trump and other politicians, they don't have an answer for the poverty or the degradation faced by the working masses. It's up to us to fight for dignity, living wages, not working 60 hours a week, working a more reasonable amount of time. And so I think that we need a strike.
Absolutely. And can you kind of talk about what happened with you, because you were a UPS worker and then you were fired last year? It seems like it was very similar to what happened with Christian Smalls with Amazon. He tried to organize against Amazon at the beginning of COVID. This wasn't primarily over COVID, but you were fired basically for complaining and, organizing against UPS.
Yeah, well, so I was unjustly fired I was already in the union when I was unjustly fired because of my union activism. And, basically myself and many others were organizing, trying to organize the rank and file, through parking lot meetings, through WhatsApp chats, encouraging members to file grievances, trying to educate the workforce about their rights, so that workers could start to push back and not have to take some of the abuse handed out by management. And I have a NLRB case that's in the works. I don't know if I will win or not, but I believe that the law, and certainly I believe justice, is on my side, and also on not just me, but on the side of countless other UPS activists and labor activists like Chris Smalls, like many others all around the country who are retaliated against. And the company does not face real serious repercussions when they target activists. You can talk to any UPS worker that's active in their union, and they will say that they have a big, wide target on their back, that's the price that they pay for being a shop steward. That's the price that they pay for engaging the workforce, for trying to get members involved. Management has a systematic policy of targeting anyone that they deem a so-called troublemaker. And I think that that's what happened with me. So I'm still in the process of fighting for my job back. But regardless of my situation, I'm going to be on the picket line every single day. And I'm doing everything I can to link up with other Teamster members, other workers to build towards this historic strike, should it happen.
Thanks so much for taking the time. Hope to have something historic to cover soon. We'll know in about a month or so. Take care. Ben Douglas.